And I can't remember a time in my life, even from when I was just a little one, when my brother and I weren't trying to figure out some way to make money. And our first job doing that was we would catch chickens from the creamery behind us where they would process chickens. And if the chicken got loose, we'd catch them and they'd give us 2 pennies for every chicken we'd catch. So my brother, the genius, he quickly devised a scheme. We'd go over there and let some chickens out and catch the chickens. I had a dog, it's an interesting dog. My dad, the fellow my dad worked for had a dog, and that dog had puppies stacked under boxcars. Boxcars were big, heavy, I think 8 by 4 foot pieces of wood that you used to close up the boxcar so you chip wheat. And the puppies were in it. My dad said if I could crawl under there and get me a puppy, I could keep him, so I did. My dad then trained the dog as a retriever. And one time when he was out hunting, this is one of my favorite stories. This is a brilliant hunting dog. The guy across the pond shot a duck. My dog jumped in the water, swam that pond, picked up the duck, and took it to the man across the pond who shot the shot, and then came back. The guy was a hunter from Minneapolis, had a lot of money. He was so impressed, he came to town, started asking about that dog, and of course they all knew it was that's Glenn Armey's dog. Well, it was really my dog. My dad called me up, told me to come up to the elevator. He said, this man just offered $1,000 for your dog. If you can imagine now, this is like probably in 1950, 51, 52, $1,000 to a kid, that was a big deal. Turned him down. One other occasion, my mother was giving the kids, all of us, a bath. What you did is you just lined them up and ran them through the bathtub. And before she knew it, she had Bobby Kramer. She was taking his clothes off. He was protesting, not me, not me. So she sent him home. In 1956, I bought a 1936 Chevy for $100. And it got, it was the old roofy transmission. That Chevy burned about a pint of oil in every tank of gas. But what I did, since I worked in town at the swimming pool, I rented it out to a friend of mine who had to go out in the country measuring land for the Department of Agriculture, and that's what he was working his way through college. So by the time the summer was over, he had paid me $100 in rent for that car, and by this time, the car was really on its last wheels. I sold it for $20 for parts for a guy that had another 36 Chevy. It's the only car I ever made money on. And of course, they all are smart. They know they got their grandpa's special. You do know your grandpa's special. It's a fun story. When they introduced me to Ronald Reagan, they didn't introduce me, this is Dick Armey from Texas. They said, the guy that did it said, this is Dick Armey from Can-Do. Reagan loved that. So off and on, over the course of the next couple of years, when they'd have a serious discussion, Reagan would say, well, we ought to get that guy from Can-Do. We'll get him to do. The guys would say, hey, how does the president know you so much? Well, he didn't know me, but he loved the guy from Can-Do. So it's kind of a fun deal. To be the majority leader of the House of Representatives, where you can take your professional knowledge of your discipline of economics, apply it. The speaker was very generous with me. I had more authority and responsibility than any majority leader in the history of the House. I literally ran the legislative agenda of the House. It was obviously a great job. I laughed, I said even senators were nice to me. Even senators from the other party were nice to me. I never found much unhappiness in Washington. The work was good. I thought it was serious work. I find more amusement and joy in watching children these days, I think, than just about anything else. My favorite food? Gotta be tacos and enchiladas. Behave yourself, keep your nose clean, and don't be an embarrassment to the family.
Thank you, Dick.